This is a thing that is happening at certain franchise locations. And also, I worked there long enough and as a manager that McDonald's stuff became a hyperfixation of mine, so that was my problem, and now it's yours! So, I have a question. When you go to your local McDonald's, when you go there, you go and you're just like, I'm craving some soggy french fries. I'm craving the 10% meat of a Big Mac. I'm craving a dry-ass quarter pounder with cheese. When you have those cravings, when you are deciding that you need a soda that has just a smidge more syrup than you're used to, so it tastes like either heaven or death, there is no in between, you go to McDonald's. And when you get there, what do you do when you find a 10-year-old working there? Oh yes, that's right, everybody. Children crave the minds once again. It's time to bring back the labor of the children. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and get into the fan art section. Nishikawa Sataki, thank you so much for the raid. The first one we have here is from Imperial Winter. Messy colored sketch of an idea I had because of this outfit I saw. I mean, the outfit's fucking cool. I like, okay, so like canonically in lore, the Suris character eventually just became a Slimomancer. So like, it works. It works. I like. The next one we have here is from Hanahag, and we have no description. We just have one cutely dressed Megasaurus. So yeah, as always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's go ahead and get right into today's topic after you do that thing called hitting the subscribe button and going over to Patreon and giving me cash money. Anyway. So, 10-year-olds were among hundreds of children found working at McDonald's restaurants. There were 2 10-year-olds discovered working unpaid and until as late as 2 a.m. at one McDonald's restaurant in Louisville, Kentucky. It was operated by Bear Food LLC, and that was from the Labor Department. Let's take a look at this. More than 300 children, including 2 10-year-olds, were found working at McDonald's restaurants across Kentucky and several other states in violation of federal labor laws. In one case, investigators found 2 10-year-olds who were working unpaid as late as 2 a.m. at one McDonald's restaurant in Louisville operated by Bauer Food LLC, which is based in Louisville. The 2 children prepared and distributed food orders, cleaned the store, worked at the drive-thru window, and operated a register. One of them was also allowed to operate a deep fryer, a task that is prohibited for workers under the age of 16 under federal law. Most of the restaurants, 45 of the 62, were in Kentucky. The 2 10-year-olds were among at least 305 children to have been found employed in violation of federal labor laws across 62 McDonald's locations in Kentucky, Indiana, Maryland, and Ohio, operated under 3 franchises: Bauer Food, Arcways Ridgewood, and Bell Restaurant Group. Before we get any further, let's go ahead and give a quick, for those who might not know, those who might not have worked in the food industry. So when you are working at a McDonald's, you are working at one of 2 types of restaurants, okay? You're either working at a corporate store, I've worked at one of those before in Florida, or you are working for a franchisee. And I have worked under 2 different franchise. No, 2 franchises. I've worked under 2 franchises. One of them I left and then came back to. So the thing with a franchise is it's basically just your local petty millionaire decides that they want their money to work for them, so they buy a couple of local McDonald's locations, and then that becomes a franchise. They can buy it off of the corpo, or they can get a franchisee agreement that allows new McDonald's to be built but only in the locations that the McDonald's Corporation is okay with, because McDonald's is first and foremost a real estate company, not a food distributor. You might not believe me when I say that, but those are the actual words of Ray Kroc. So, with this agreement, you have a series of restaurants that loosely follow the corporate guidelines for McDonald's, but have very specific idiosyncrasies that might not be followed everywhere else. For instance, regional differences in McDonald's often can be brought down to different franchisee negotiations, such as not having the spicy McChicken up here in Georgia, but having it down in Florida, and I fucking miss it. Not important, though. So certain menu adjustments can be made based on the franchise that you're in. Certain rules changes can be made based on the franchise you're in. For instance, when I worked under Corpo, the only thing we could have were like dollar menu meals. That was stuff that we could have. And we could have Big Mac meals. And that was it. But when I moved over to a franchise, that franchise for a long time allowed us to have like double quarter pounder meals as our paid, like our free meals for working there. That was a rule of that franchise. But when I hopped to a different franchise, that one would allow like the big salads, but would not allow the actual larger meal sandwiches to be gotten by employees as their free meal. This is ignoring the copious amounts of food that we definitely totally did not steal. I might have eaten more chicken nuggets that I haven't paid for than that I have, but that's besides the point. The point is, different franchises work under different rules. And because of this, corporate oversight can sometimes completely miss stuff when it comes to the franchises. Because as long as a franchise is profitable, corporate largely will not come in and step. They're going to come into the main office that the franchisee holds to talk to the franchisee. But the franchisee is going to be the one who is ultimately responsible for just about everything that happens in the individual restaurants. They are responsible for buying offices to train managers in. They're responsible for maintaining everything at the locations that they have. It's like owning a bunch of apartments, more so than it is like running a bunch of restaurants, more than anything. So, I bring all that up so that people can understand that when I say this is a thing that happened at McDonald's, this doesn't necessarily mean that this is a thing ubiquitous across all of McDonald's. This is a thing that is happening at certain franchise locations. And also, I worked there long enough and as a manager that McDonald's stuff became a hyperfixation of mine, so that was my problem, and now it's yours! That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Bauer Food LLC said two 10-year-olds alleged have been employed at the McDonald's restaurant, or the two 10-year-olds alleged to have been employed there were actually children of a night manager who were visiting their parents at work and were not approved by the franchisee organization to be working at that part of the restaurant, or to be in that part of the restaurant at all. That's, so, I can actually say that, yeah, that could be a failure on the parents' part. This is, you know, ignoring the fact that there's other children working at a bunch of other McDonald's that were found in a bus like this. So, I mean, when there's a common denominator, it's not just the one parent. But, besides that, I can attest at least a little bit, working overnight at a McDonald's, holy shit. Holy shit. I have never had a more chill job. I have never had a more chill job than working overnight shift at McDonald's. I shit you not, when I used to work overnight, I brought a laptop. I brought a laptop to the store, and I set it up directly behind the wall, behind the line, because the store that I was working at that I did overnights at, we had our line that we worked at, where we made sandwiches, and then there was a little cubby area where employees were allowed to put their food and snacks and their drinks and stuff, and then further back there was the storage area. We didn't have a break room. I've worked at McDonald's that had break rooms, and I've worked at McDonald's that do not have break rooms. This one had just the office and then that little cubby area for us. I set up a laptop in that cubby area, and when I wasn't getting orders, believe you me, I was back there on that laptop playing World of Warcraft. No joke. No shit. I just went back there playing WoW, because we didn't get enough business. That's why that store stopped doing overnight stuff. But I just played WoW at work. I played Monster Hunter back there on the Wii U. I played WoW on my laptop. I played a whole bunch of things I shouldn't have on my 3DS. Like, it was the chillest job ever. So I say that not so that I can, reminisce about a job that I really actually enjoyed quite a bit. I'm not doing that. What I'm doing is pointing out that the overnight shift environment at McDonald's is, well, at most of the ones that I've seen and worked at, overnight supervision is a very lax way to say what any manager did there. Most managers did not want to be there overnight. Most employees did not want to be there overnight. So the idea that you could just dick around until an order came in, so long as the store was being kept clean, that's all that really mattered. Barn Owl says, what weapon do you main in Monster Hunter? I am both a sword and shield user and a switch axe user. Both of them. So it makes sense to me that this is a thing that could have gone under the radar. That's not an excuse. That doesn't mean the parent should have allowed this, and it doesn't mean that there shouldn't have been a crackdown about this beforehand. But having been exposed to the overnight McDonald's environment, both working there and even having a partner of mine just kind of like wait around in the lobby for me while I was working, needless to say, I've been in such a lax environment where all this is concerned before that it makes sense to me that this stuff would get slid under the radar. Doesn't make it okay, but I can see where it comes from. The franchise said that it took steps to ensure that policies regarding children visiting a parent or a guardian were clear to all employees. These reports are unacceptable, deeply troubling, and run afoul of the high expectations we have for the entire McDonald's brand. Boy, if there wasn't a set of false remarks that I have ever seen put together, nobody has high expectations of the McDonald's brand. Nobody. Not a one. But, continuing on, Tiffany Boyd, Senior Vice President and Chief People Officer at McDonald's USA, said in a statement, "It is not lost on us the significant responsibility we carry to ensure a positive and safe experience for everyone under the arches." I hate that kind of language. I'm not going to lie, just like, oh yeah, we're trying to make sure that everything's good for everyone under the arches. Nobody views themselves. Nobody except the most corporate brainwashed motherfucker views themselves as under the arches. I'm sorry. Not a one. Yeah, Trickster, not only is McDonald's shit food, but they've been raising the price of everything so much. On my way back from Tennessee, I got a McDouble meal, right? First thing, the cashier lady told me that they don't do McDouble meals. Unless they changed their POS since I was there, you literally just hit the make a meal button. Like that's a thing you do. There's literally a button that says make a meal. So everything you have is a meal on the McDonald's menu. You just hit the make a meal button. But you know how much that McDouble meal costed me when I was working at McDonald's the first time around? About $3.50. About $3.50. You know how much that costed me today? $7.50. How? How did your dollar sandwich go up so much? How did you do that? But yeah, no. McDonald's. Shit food, high price. Shit food, high price. When were you in Tennessee? I just got back yesterday. Ivana, should I tell you when I take trips to Tennessee? Is that a thing I need to do? Cause like locations and shit. Cause like I can do that. So I know how important it is that every restaurant fosters a culture of safety. As a mother whose teenage son proudly worked at our local McDonald's, I feel this on a very personal level, she added. We are committed to ensuring our franchisees have the resources they need to foster safe workplaces for all employees and maintain compliance with all labor laws. Archways Richwood LLC did not immediately respond to requests for comment from NBC News early Wednesday. A LinkedIn account appearing to belong to the owner of Bell Restaurant Group LLC did not immediately respond to requests for comment. It says here, too often employees fail to follow the child labor laws that protect young workers, says Garrett Garnett Civils, the Wage and Hour Division District Director in Louisville, said in a statement. Under no circumstances should there ever be a 10-year-old working in a fast food kitchen around hot grills, ovens, and deep fryers. Yeah. Yeah, no, that... I don't see how I can add anything to that. So do you know what a grease burn looks like? Do you know what a grease burn feels like? That is an absolute terrible experience. So, subjecting a 10-year-old to the possibility of a grease burn, or even just anything that happen around those ovens, just no. Also, yeah, kids are gross. Kids don't necessarily follow health code standards. You are supposed to wash your hands for no less than 30 seconds, and then you are supposed to glove up, and if you dare touch anything that is not the inside of a motherfucking glove, you are supposed to go back and wash your hands again. Serve safe certifications, buddy. The employers face civil money penalties with an estimated combined total of more than $212,000. Archways, based in Walton, was found to have allowed 242 children between the ages of 14 and 15 to work beyond allowable hours. Most worked earlier or later in the day than the law permits, and more than 3 hours on school days. The employer was expected to be fined an estimated $143,000 in civil money penalties and violations. So this one is less understandable than the 10-year-old kids one, right? The 10-year-old kids one is like, a parent brought their kids back there and they thought it would be fine, and the parent was basically being stupid in doing so, and the company didn't do their due diligence in stopping it from happening, right? That's basic shit. This, however, 242 children, like a chunk of them being fucking 14 years old, working extra hours, like, no. I don't like how Republicans have this, you know, let's let kids be kids, and then shit like this happens, and we don't hear things about it that often. It's not let's let kids be kids at this point. It's let's let kids be your view of what a kid should be. And you want them to grow up to be a good worker, don't you? Don't you? Bell Restaurant, based in Louisville, allowed 39 children between the ages of 14 and 15 to work outside the allowable hours. The employer was expected to face an estimated $29,000 in civil money penalties. Bauer Food employed 24 children under the ages of 16 to work more than legally permitted hours, and they're expected to be fined $39,000 in penalties. Garnet Seville said the latest incidents came amid an increase in federal child labor violations, including allowing minors to operate equipment or handle types of work that endangers them or employs them for more hours or later in the day than federal law allows. Yeah, that's just capitalism at work, guys. Capitalism at work. While most cases with child labor violations involve minors working longer and later hours than the law permits, the Labor Department found at least 688 minors employed illegally in hazardous occupations in 2022, which was the highest annual count since 2011. Among those was a 15-year-old who was injured while using a deep fryer at McDonald's in Morrison. One child injured at work is one too many. Child labor laws exist to ensure that when young people work, the job does not jeopardize their health, well-being, or education. Yeah, this don't put kids near fryers. Have them work front register. Don't even put them on the line. Keep them away from that shit. Keep them away from that shit. And that's me who doesn't even think that kids should be working at all. Like, I don't think under the age of 18 anybody should be forced to work, but you know, that would require us having something like a universal basic income that kicks in gradually. Like, imagine a universal basic income that is capped out for adults, but like when you hit the age of 16, it starts kicking in. Like, hey, you're 14, nothing major happens. You're 15, UBI kicks in and you get like $50 a month or something. A tiny bit, tiny bit. Then you hit the age of 16, UBI kicks in and now it's $200 a month. And then you hit the age of 17, UBI comes in, and now it's $400 a month. And these are like just hip-firing numbers. Obviously, the numbers would have to be adjusted for the area that people are living in. They'd have to be adjusted for, you know, the time that we're living in as well. But just making it to where it's not just a thing that turns on when you're an adult, but a thing that gradually dials up as you get older, so that you have this income coming in, so you're allowed to just be a kid. You're allowed to just go and do your own thing as a child. I can just imagine that being, you know, a somewhat useful thing. And then that would incentivize those kids. Hey, when you get older and you actually want to start working and shit, you are providing that UBI for other people then as well. Shaw says, but then who will fix snags in hard-to-reach areas? Their tiny hands are just perfect for the task. Yeah, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. But with that said, let me know what you think about the children going back to the mines. Hit the like button if you haven't already, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, everyone, insert end video tagline here.